Hello folks and welcome to another Legend Scale review. Today we are taking a look at a couple of older Hasbro figures from the Power of the Primes line, Dinobot Slash and Decepticon Cindersaur. Now these two are repaints of the same mould. Slash is done in the classic Dinobot colours. You've got the silver, black and red plastic there with the same colours in paint, except they're not quite the same. There's a bit of an issue with the paint matching, which you can really see with the silver there. There's also some gold paint with the unusual combo of being underneath translucent plastic in the back and the shoulders there. There's an Autobot insignia printed on the chest, although beneath it there's a little raised area in the same shape that looks like it was supposed to have the printing. I'm not sure what the deal is there. Maybe it was just too small because it doesn't look like that insignia would fit on there. The sculpt itself isn't too shabby. Plenty of panel lines all over. There are some sprue marks and mould seams, as you can see there, but on a figure this cheap, it is kind of to be expected. The head sculpt isn't too bad, as long as you don't look at it up close, because then you can see that she doesn't really have a mouth, just kind of a raised area where the mouth would be, which is a wee bit creepy, but of course, doesn't look too bad from far away. There's a little bit of kibble on the back. The dino arms are kind of just there, and then of course you've got the tail hanging down. I found that you can pop these arms off and then they can be stored in the back. You kind of just slot them into these spaces beside the dino head and then fold the back panel down and that holds them in place. It maybe looks a little bit better, so you can do that if you like the way it looks. I think this is how Slash's design should be done. Nothing screaming, oh look at me, I'm a girl. Subtlety is nice, and that's why it works for Cindersaur as well. Cindersaur, of course, is the same mold, but with a new head. Instead of the visor that Slash had, he has individual eyes and no crest on top. Doesn't really resemble his G1 design in any way besides the colours. Of course, he's mostly done in this violet plastic with some mustard for the body. And then those same colours in paint with some added grey details here and there. There is translucent plastic in the same areas as Slash, but with no metallic paint underneath, so it doesn't really have that same effect. The face, of course, is bright green. And I think the head sculpt is a little bit more refined than Slash's, because you can see there's actually a mouth on this one. Cindersaur's Decepticon symbol is even bigger than Slash's Autobot symbol, and as you can see it's a little bit off center, a little bit crooked on mine, but with figures this cheap, as I said, these kind of quality control issues are to be expected really. Articulation wise, the head can rotate in a wide arc, the shoulders are on ball joints, so can rotate all the way around, and they can move out when this groove is lined up with the peg that the ball was on. The biceps rotate. Now this rotation was scarily tight on mine at first, but what you can do is pop the mushroom peg out and in, and that should loosen it up a bit. The elbows have a hinge, no waist rotation or wrist rotation of any kind. The hips are on very loose ball joints, which kind of affects the figure's stability a little bit. Thigh rotation. And a knee hinge, and lastly, hinge at the foot there. The articulation is kind of meh. It's about standard for Hasbro Legends / core class size. Certainly not comparable with third-party Legends, but you have to bear in mind, of course, that those figures are at least 3 times the price of these. And then those loose hips and tight biceps are also present on my Cindersaur, so I assume it's not just a fluke with my Slash. Neither of the figures come with any accessories of any kind, although they can hold anything with a 5mm peg, so I have some surplus Iron Factory blasters just lying around, which I give to them to make them a little less defenseless. They hold those just fine. Time for size comparisons. Here they are with Iron Factory Hound and Runabout. Here they are with some other Power of the Primes figures. We've got Road Trap and Chop Shop. There they are with some of the Iron Factory Dinobots. Now, as you can see, Slash's colour scheme doesn't match perfectly with theirs. Her red is a bit lighter, and so is her silver. But scale-wise, I think it works. She's not completely dwarfed by them like she would be with the Power of the Primes Dinobots. And I think if you have the DX9 or MechFans Toys Dinobots, that'll also work. Especially metallic colours, I think she would make a good addition to their ranks. There they are with Kingdom Vertebrake and Paleotrex. And as always, the LEGO Stormtrooper. The transformation is identical for both figures, as you would expect. I use Slash for the articulation demonstrations, so I guess I'll switch to Cindersaur now. First things first, flip the tail up over the head. Then you want to bend the elbows all the way and peg these dino feet into the robot hands like so. Rotate the thighs 180 degrees. This will allow you to peg the legs together. Fold in the robot feet all the way. And then you want to rotate this up around and peg the legs into these chest protrusions. Now you can open up the back, flip out this assembly with the head and dino arms, and then close the panel back up again. And there you have it, the dino mode. It's got the articulation you'd expect. The arms rotate, head and lower jaw are on hinges, tail is on a hinge, and then the legs are just the robot arms, but you're a little bit limited in terms of balance, especially since those feet are static. Now, if you don't like the look of this belly, you can pop off the robot legs for a sleeker look. Then of course you've got two loose robot legs to deal with. This space in the back is intended for a Titan Master to sit in, kind of like they're riding the dinosaur. But I don't have any Titan Masters. The closest thing I have is Iron Factory Black Zarek, who is a little bit too small, I think. So instead I use this space to store weapons. Cliffjumper's folding pea shooter is the perfect size to fit right in there. I'll let that close back up. The one I gave Slash doesn't fit as well, not nearly as well, but you can always improvise. Now this looks like it's supposed to be some kind of raptor. Which kind of raptor is up to you, really, depending on what you want them to scale with. For some alt mode size comparisons, here they are with Vertebrake and Paleotrex again. There they are with Chop Shop and Runabout. And of course the LEGO Stormtrooper. And that concludes this review of Power of the Primes Slash and Cindersaur. Older figures, yes, and not cutting edge when it comes to Legend scale, but they're cheap and great for bulking out your Autobot and Decepticon ranks, especially since no third-party Legends company has done these characters yet. Anyway, thanks for watching. Make sure to comment any questions or suggestions that you have. Check out the other reviews on the channel if you enjoyed, and goodbye.